Hi and Assalamualaikum. Allow us to introduce ourselves. I am Husna binti Fadzil.
I am Siti Solyha binti Muhammad Ali.
I am Siti Zulaikha binti Hassan.
I am Aishah Zakiah binti Rashid.
We are from class AS114-3A2 and today we want to talk about our case study titled canning, which is one of the methods in food preservation. We chose Adabi Food Company as our product manufacturer. Here are the contents that we will cover today. Alright, let's start with Siti Zulaikha. Can you explain a little bit about Adabi Company background? And for the second question, what is the meaning of food preservation?
Thank you, Husna. Alright, now let's get to know Adabi Company. Adabi Company was registered under Adabi Consumer Industries Sdn Bhd. It was established in 1984, which was registered on 7th March. The founder of Adabi is Datuk Sheikh Mansur Sheikh Mahmud. Adabi manufacturing food products including spices, sauces, and canned food. The headquarters was located at Rawang, Selangor. Products were distributed to a few countries, which are Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, Australia, Japan, Mongolia, Jordan, and United Kingdom. Products produced by Adabi Consumer Industries Sdn Bhd has been certificate halal by Zakiah Malaysia and MUI Indonesia. And lastly, the tagline of Adabi is Sajian Istana di Zaman Silam. Next. Okay, so back to Husna's question, what is food preservation? Food preservation is the process of treating or handling food in such a way as to stop or greatly slow down spoilage and prevent foodborne illness while maintaining nutritional value, texture, and flavor. Next. If we talk about food preservation, there are a few methods to preserve our food. So, what is the method? Okay. Among the oldest methods of preservation are drying, refrigeration, and fermentation. While the modern method including canning, pasteurization, irradiation, and the addition of chemicals. First, drying is a method which lowers the water content of food to a point where the activities of enzyme and food spoilage are destroyed or inhibited. Second, the refrigeration, which is we put the food at the low temperature that divided to chilling or freezing temperature. Then the third one, we have fermentation, the conversion of carbohydrate to alcohol and the carbon dioxide or organic acid using yeast, bacteria, or combination thereof under anaerobic condition. Then we have pasteurization. Pasteurization is the heat treatment process that destroys pathogenic microorganisms in certain food and beverage like milk and juice. Then we have irradiation. Irradiation is the application of radiation like X-ray or gamma ray for therapeutic purpose or for the sterilization of food. Next, second last, we have the addition of chemicals or what we call as food additive. They are substances added to the food to maintain or improve its safety, taste, texture, or appearance. Lastly is canning. Next slide. So, Solyha, may I know what is canning and the process of canning?
Thank you, Zulaikha. What is canning? Canning is a method used to preserve food for a long time by packing it in an airtight container, and it was introduced at the end of 1800 as a way to providing a stable source of food during the war for the soldiers. But canning is not only about sealing the food. In the process, there are three main ways that involve to ensure the canning food lifespan lasts longer. But to extend the food lifespan, texture of food may change and some of the nutrients from the raw food may be discarded due to stabilize the source. The three main ways included are processing, sealing, and heating. First and foremost, are processing. In processing the raw food may be peeled, sliced, chopped, or cooked. And for the second is sealing. This process is to seal the food into a can or maybe any airtight container. Lastly is heating. The cans are heated to make sure the dangerous and harmful bacteria are killed and preventing damages that shortening the food lifespan. If these canned food are processed properly, it would keep it stable and edible for 1 to 5 years more. So, next slide. Canning process. The example for this canning process is sardines. First, the sardines are washed in the cold, bubbling water to maintain freshness. The agitation by waters makes the scale of fishes are naturally removed. Then the fishes are pre-cooked in a hot vapor that make the fish dehydrate and prevent unwanted release of fluids during retorting that affecting the texture of sardines. After that, it will cool by refrigerating or just keep it in a room temperature. Next, the fish's fins, heads, and tails are cut off. Then the bodies are cut and sorted into a can. Oil, salt, water, and sauce are added as the ingredient and it is cleansed then sealed. Lastly, the cans were inserted in autoclave machine to sterilize from unwanted substance from the food. So, as we know, there are some possible mistakes during the steps of every process, and one of it is through the canning process. So, I would like to ask Aishah, what are the possible mistakes may happen that during the canning process and way to avoid them?
Alright, thank you, Solyha. And I would like to talk about possible mistakes during canning and ways to avoid it. Okay, so the first mistake that could happen is imperfect sealing of the can, causing the entrance of microbes. As we know, the condition inside the can must be vacuum, which means no oxygen can enter inside the can. But if imperfect sealing of can happens, microbes such as Bacillus stereothermophilus can enter the can. This will cause spoilage inside the can and the food. So in order to avoid this, the company should do inspection on canned products to detect any flaws. Secondly, not enough heat treatment, causing the presence of Clostridium botulinum. This microbe produce deadly toxins. The toxins, if consumed by humans, can cause death. So the main reason that this happened is due to equipment failure, which means the machine that is being used to heat the can might be broken. And the secondly is human error, which means the person in charge in operating the machine does not set the machine at the correct temperature, causing the canned food to be heated improperly. So in order to avoid this, the company should always do routine checks on machine and employees. The third mistake that could happen is undercooked fish. So in order to avoid this, the fish must be cooked thoroughly to avoid food poisoning. And an example of microbe that I have given here is Salmonella typhi. And also to avoid worms, which is Anisakis species. There was a case in 2018 in Malaysia where various brand of canned foods from China was called back from the factory because when the cans are inspected, the authorities found out that there are worms inside the can, and the health ministry in a statement said that the worms was identified as Anisakis species. So when the cans are called back, this will definitely pose a large loss towards the company. So we definitely want to avoid that. And the last mistake that could happen is the cans can be dented, but this usually happens after canning. So in order to avoid this, proper packing and sealing of food and canned foods must be handled properly.
So, Aisha, can you tell me what a company should do to make sure the customer was satisfied with their products?
Alright, thank you, Zulaikha. So every company wants to produce the best product to ensure that their customer is happy and satisfied. And for Adabi company, they prioritize product innovation by introducing various canned foods that are ready to eat. So according to Adabi manager, if you buy a can of Adabi food company, you can straight away open the can and eat the food. For example, chicken curry, beef soup, and anchovy sambal. And secondly, Adabi try to improve their marketing strategy by using the latest technology and also research and development methods. So as we all know, there are many products out there that wants to compete with Adabi because they know that Adabi is the main choice among consumers. So in order to avoid this competition, Adabi try to improve the formula and they try to improve new recipe in order to make their customer satisfied. Alright, I would like to ask Husna, how do you know that you are choosing the right canned foods?
Alright, thank you, Aishah. As we go shopping, we tend to grab one or two canned foods as it is easier for us to cook and eat that. Here I provide some tips that I want to share with you when you want to buy canned foods. Katie Moyer, who is a senior food microbiology consultant, said that when choosing canned foods, make sure that you inspect the cans first. So, the first step that we can do is do not choose damaged can. These damages include dented, especially when it was dented on the rim or seam of the can, because that could break the hermetic seal. What is hermetic seal? Hermetic sealing is the process of creating an airtight container so that any material will not leak from the can. Other damages is also rusty that will increase the risk of food contamination, and also bulge that might mean bacteria or other bugs may have entered and fermenting the contents, which is the food, and producing gas. And of course, the can that have been opened. For the next step, you may have noticed that some foods have an expiry date while others have a best before date. So, here there is a difference between these two. According to Food Standards Australia New Zealand, an expiry date is required for foods that need to be consumed within a certain time for safety reasons. Avoid buying or consuming food past their expiry date. A best before date is more of a quality guide. You can still consume foods for a little while past their best before date. And the last step, check the list of food ingredients and the nutrition facts. For the ingredients, note the food additives added to the food, such as preservatives, dyes, seasonings, and so on. So, if you read food labels and choose foods wisely, you will find that there are also canned foods that do not contain preservatives or food additives. Read food labels to find out the nutrition information panel. Choose foods that are low in fat, low or no salt, low or sugar free, and avoid foods that contain a lot of syrup or oil.
Husna, what should I do if my canned food is not finished after I open the can?
Alright, thank you, Siti Zulaikha. Here is how you can store your canned foods. Here we have two storage conditions that you can choose. So, for the first one is refrigerating, which involves storage of food at temperature slightly above the freezing in about 4 degrees Celsius, and the second one is freezing, which has a temperature in about negative 10 degrees Celsius in most home freezers. Alright, for the refrigerating method, tightly cover the keep open sardines in covered glass or a plastic container to maximize the shelf life of canned sardines after opening. So, for how long do open canned sardines last in the refrigerator? Canned sardines that have been continuously refrigerated will keep for about 3 to 4 days. And for the freezing method, to further extend the shelf life of open canned sardines, you can freeze them by placing it inside a covered airtight container or a heavy-duty freezer bag, just like I showed in the picture above. And how long do canned sardines last in the freezer? If it was properly stored, it will maintain best quality for about 3 months, but will remain safe beyond that time too. That's all from us. Thank you so much for listening.